Hi guys, we should train up our own. You've probably heard that line before. Well, unfortunately, with Reform UK getting more and more support, you're going to hear that line a lot more over the next number of years. Now, David Bull, who has taken over from Zia Yusuf as the party chairman, was speaking to Times Radio about migration and how it's out of control and that Britain needs to train up its own. In a sort of twisted way, Bull is right, but not for the reasons he's giving.
Now, the point that I'm now trying to make is that actually immigration is out of control completely, both legal immigration and illegal immigration. The latest figures show that something like 476,000 people came last year. That is a city the size of Bristol. And is it any wonder that no one can actually get a doctor or get their kids into a school, or why the transport structure is creaking and the country feels like it's falling apart? So that's legal immigration, and then obviously illegal immigration, 13,000.
You say it's out of control
so far this year.
But you said
it is.
You've also said it was the lifeblood of this country. It always has been.
No, controlled immigration, and I've been misquoted on that. Controlled immigration, and by that I mean recruiting the best and the brightest if we have skills gaps, but what we have to do is to train our own people.
You're going to hear this a lot going forward, and there's a left-wing argument in favour of training up your own. You don't want to bring people from different societies who are struggling with their own health issues, with their own health systems collapsing because they don't have the staff they need. And the NHS already has measures to protect different societies from brain drains. The NHS does not want to engage in a brain drain where they're taking doctors from poor countries. But we also know that doctors coming from poor countries working in the NHS also go back and take the skills that they've learned with them. So doctors coming in to work in the NHS is good for the NHS, it's good for Britain, but it's also good for those countries in many cases. It's more complicated than simply, well, you're just bringing people in. Now, the right-wing argument, of course, is, well, we don't want to bring people in unless it's, in very limited ways. We need to train up our own. But the right-wing will never put their money where their mouth is. See, in order to train up your own, you need to invest. You need to spend huge amounts of money. For example, and this is something Dr. Bull should know, it costs about just under £500,000 to train up a GP. Think about that for a moment. Almost £500,000 to train up one GP. Now, how many GPs are necessary? Thousands of GPs. So you're going to have to spend huge amounts of money. Now, these doctors need to be monitored, not need to be mentored, I should say. So that's taking time away from other doctors, maybe in the NHS. So that's a stress on the NHS as well. And the NHS need to provide courses, they need to provide training for these doctors as well. So it's not just about the university. Of course, we don't want doctors just coming out of university. We want them trained doing the job on, getting hands-on skills as well. They want to be training not just in the university but also in the hospitals, and that, as I said, takes time away from other doctors. It puts strain on the NHS. Now, if the NHS is properly funded, it has the staff it needs, that's not a problem. But it is a problem at the moment. Now, is Reform going to invest more money in the NHS? No, they want to go in the opposite direction. When they say train up our own, the question has to be asked, how are you going to pay for that? Because as the example I gave, it's almost £500,000 to train up one GP. And then there are nurses that need to be trained up. There are carers that need to be trained up. And it's not just about the money, it's also about the time that you're taking away from other members of staff to make sure that those people are qualified, that they're able to do the job. But from Reform, we're not going to hear those answers. And unfortunately, I don't think the media is going to ask those questions. So Farage and Reform can sit on the sidelines and say, well, we would do it better, we would train up our own. And we will bring in people if necessary to fill the gap. But they're an anti-immigration party. They want to create a toxic environment, keep people out. So how are you going to fill the gaps if you're supporting policies like the Tories were implementing before, which was about restricting people from coming in and bringing their families? You don't want people to come in, but at the same time, you're saying we will bring in just those necessary to fill the gap. It's a nonsensical policy from a nonsensical party. But unfortunately, as I said, the media are not going to hold these people to account, and they're going to be able to get away with it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.